They Say, I Say, Chapter 5. And yet, distinguishing what you say from what they say. If good academic writing involves putting yourself into dialogue with others, it is extremely important that readers be able to tell at every point when you are expressing your own view and when you are stating someone else's. This chapter takes up the problem of moving from what they say to what you say, without confusing readers about who is saying what. Determine who is saying what in the text you read. Before examining how to signal who is saying what in your own writing, let's look at how to recognize such signals when they appear in the text you read. An especially important skill when it comes to the challenging works assigned in school. Frequently, when students have trouble understanding difficult texts, it is not just because the texts contain unfamiliar ideas or words, but because the texts rely on subtle clues to let readers know when a particular view should be attributed to the writer or to someone else. Especially with texts that present a true dialogue of perspectives. Readers need to be alert to the often subtle markers that indicate whose voice the writer is speaking in. Consider how the social critic and educator Gregory Monsios uses these voice markers, as they might be called, to distinguish the different perspectives in his essay on America's class inequalities. We are all middle class, or so it would seem. Our national consciousness, as shaped in large part by the media and our political leadership, provides us with a picture of ourselves as a nation of prosperity and opportunity within an ever-expanding middle-class lifestyle. As a result, our class differences are muted and our collective character is homogenized. Yet, class divisions are real and arguably the most significant factor in determining both our very being in the world and the nature of the society we live in. Gregory Monsios, Rewards and Opportunities, The Politics and Economics of Class in the U.S. Although Monsios makes it look easy, he is actually making several sophisticated rhetorical moves here that help him distinguish the common view he opposes from his own position. In the opening sentence, for instance, the phrase, "or so it would seem," shows that Monsios does not necessarily agree with the view he is describing, since writers normally don't present views they themselves hold as ones that only seem to be true. Monsios also places this opening view in quotation marks to signal that it is not his own. He then further distances himself from the belief being summarized in the opening paragraph by attributing it to our national consciousness, as shaped in large part by the media and our political leadership, and then further attributing to this consciousness a negative, undesirable result, one in which our class differences get muted and our collective character gets homogenized, stripped of its diversity and distinctness. Hence, even before Monsios has declared his own position in the second paragraph, readers can get a pretty solid sense of where he probably stands. Furthermore, the second paragraph opens with the word "yet," indicating that Monsios is now shifting to his own view, as opposed to the common view he has thus far been describing. Even the parallelism he sets up between the first and second paragraphs, between the first paragraph's claim that class differences do not exist and the second paragraph's claim that they do, helps throw into sharp relief the differences between the two voices. Finally, Monsios' use of direct, authoritative, declarative tone in the second paragraph also suggests a switch in voice. Although he does not use the words "I say" or "I argue," he clearly identifies the view he holds by presenting it not as one that merely seems to be true or that others tell us is true, but as a view that is true, or, as Monsios puts it, it's real. Paying attention to those voice markers is an important aspect of reading comprehension. Readers who fail to notice these markers often take an author's summaries of what someone else believes to be an expression of what the author himself or herself believes. Thus, when we teach Monsios' essay, some students invariably come away thinking that the statement "we are all middle class" is Monsios' own position rather than the perspective he is opposing, failing to see that in writing these words, Monsios acts as a kind of ventriloquist, mimicking what others say rather than directly expressing what he himself is thinking. To see how important such voice markers are, consider what the Monsios passage looks like if we remove them. We are all middle class. We are a nation of prosperity and opportunity with an ever-expanding middle-class lifestyle. Class divisions are real and arguably the most significant factor in determining both our very being in the world and the nature of the society we live in. In contrast to the careful delineation between voices in Monsio's original text, this unmarked version leaves it hard to tell where his voice begins and the voices of others end. With the markers removed, readers cannot tell that we are all middle class represents a view that the author opposes, and that class divisions are real represents what the author himself believes. Indeed, without the markers, especially the yet, readers might well miss the fact that the second paragraph's claim that class divisions are real contradicts the first paragraph's claim that we are all middle class.